so disgusting. Now, there are graphic prose on just it's basically erotic literature. Hello guys, I wanted to tell you my story. I love your TikTok video and love the stories people talk about. I want to tell you my story. I am from the UK, born and raised. My family heritage and background is from Bangladesh. I hate myself for doing this, but it happened and I enjoyed it. I am 35 years old, studied in a private school with good education. My family is not rich, but yeah, they sacrificed a lot for my education. At a young age, I was quite attractive, medium built, and have always had attention from women. I have never had any relationship with anyone that lasted longer than a month. It was mainly just about sex. After sex with one person, I just moved on to the next person. The way we were condemning Zina.
And now look at this.
Anyway, back to my story. At the age of 25, I got married. I got married happily to my beautiful wife, who was 23 at the time. It was arranged. She's never dated anyone, and yeah, she was a virgin. She gave me 2 beautiful children, a girl first and a boy second.
Aww.
This year it will be our 10th wedding anniversary, and we are still very happy together with our little family. My wife is amazing, by the way. I love her to bits.
Love that.
Back to the story. I went to Bangladesh June 2022 for 4 weeks to check up on some properties we have back home. During the 4 weeks I stayed, 2 weeks in my house and 2 weeks in my in-laws' house. Both houses were empty as both of our families live in the UK, just caretakers looking after the house. During my stay in my in-laws' house, a lot of people visited me, mainly my wife's cousins and relatives. At the time, my wife called one of her younger cousins to come and stay with me, mainly to cook for me. My wife's cousin was 23, married and no children. She's been married for almost a year. She was absolutely mesmerising. She was so hot that I started to masturbate about her when she wasn't around. One night I couldn't fall asleep and we kept talking, and she was telling me about her struggles, about how her husband has erectile dysfunction and that she wants a baby but couldn't get her pregnant because he couldn't keep hold of his erection.
Oh God, I know where this is going.
His sperm was fine, he just couldn't hold it. I asked her, why don't you just buy some blue pills as they work? But she said they couldn't afford it as much as they wanted to do it, and it was really expensive for them. I offered to give her some money to buy some blue pills for her husband. I gave them enough money that would last them 6 months of Viagra pills. Anyway, she hugged me and thanked me, and she kept doing this until I got an erection.
Oh God, I can't. Can we just end the story, please?
I told her that's enough, it's okay, but she knew I got an erection and started joking around with me by saying, you got a hard-on. I felt embarrassed, but she said, oh, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. At least you can get an erection. Oh, that's mean. She kept coming close to me and sat me down and sat next to me. So basically, he's just talking about how he was getting bigger.
Ew!
She was noticing. And she asked if he wanted some help to calm down.
I can't, you gotta take this out, I can't.
So he looked at her. So he said, I looked at her and told her, my wife is your cousin, but she said it's fine, it will be our secret. Shocked at what she said, suddenly I realised we are making out, and next minute I know she's taking my clothes off and I'm taking hers off.
Ew!
So then he starts going into extensive detail about the different positions, the things that they're doing with each other.
Ew.
And then he said that during intercourse he'd forgotten to use a condom, blah, 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 blah. They continued doing this until he came back to the UK. After I came back, a month later, she tells me she's pregnant and that she will keep it.
So, well, what do you expect?
She was so happy she got pregnant and said she will pretend it's hers and her husband's. She said, every time I go back home, we can continue the relationship if I want, as she wants more babies with me.
This is cap.
I feel bad because this is the first time I've cheated since I got married. I regret all of it as I love my wife dearly. I made a mistake and I cannot take it back. Now, there is a possibility that this is cap, but there is also a possibility that this is true.
So what's he going to do? Just carry on, act like his babies aren't in the world in Bangladesh?
Yeah, this is really weird though, isn't it?
I just think he got a thrill from sending us something very sexual.
Do you? You just have a really disgusted look on your face. Yeah, no, the thing is the story was going really well.
And he doesn't seem like he's shameful for what he did.
No, but I feel like the story was a good story overall. It's just that he didn't need to add that paragraph where he was talking so explicitly. Like, we didn't need to know about the positions that he was in and the acts that she'd done for him and vice versa. Like, we didn't need to know that.
That's what makes me feel like
it's cap. Yeah, could be cap.
And also, guys, this is sometimes why we have to differentiate between stories or people really telling what they're saying to us. Is it real?
But the thing is, you can usually tell when a story is real. I feel like most of the stories that we get are real, but this is just like... So Haga has this idea that this man got a thrill writing basically erotic literature.
A thingy book.
Yeah, he basically wrote
This is smart.
Erotic prose for us. So she thinks that he got a thrill out of it, and that this story isn't actually real, and that he just wanted to express his desires to two beautiful women such as ourselves.
Oh.
But thank you. We appreciate that. However, don't flip and do that again because it's disgusting.
It's vile. And you know what? The scenario could probably be true. And I think you're an arsehole if it's true. You need to tell your wife what you did.
Yeah, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't carry on just impregnating her cousin back home in Bangladesh, having babies with her, and then come back to the UK and act like everything's gushy. Because your wife is going to go to Bangladesh one day. She's going to meet with her cousin. She's going to have coffee. And she's going to see all those kids and how they look like you.
And probably look like their siblings in the UK.
Exactly.
And also... like, this is what I mean. Men minimise dinner like it's nothing.
Yeah,
like
if we compare this to the original scenario.
Like literally, they minimise it so often. Like how is it normal for you to cheat on your wife and come back to the UK?
Exactly.
That's a big sin. That's adultery.
And the thing is that it doesn't sound like you're even remorseful. It sounds like you enjoyed every second of it.
Every morsel.
There's no guilt. It's just complete selfishness.
You're a vile, vile human being and ill to you.
This is why I just feel like, you know what, women, even when you're married, you just need to have your shit together. Honestly, just have your shit together because these men are trifling.
Since the beginning of this episode, there's one that's paying bills for a man that earns 100 million. There's one that's getting money stolen from her.
And now we have one
And then we have this man now taking advantage of his wife. I'm sick of it.
Taking advantage of his wife and sleeping with her cousin.
Ew.
Like, what? Something's got to give here. Like, men, please, if you're going to send scenarios, like, at least, like, send us something that shows us something different.
Guys, I think I want to go back to positive scenarios again.
I don't want to do this anymore.
It's triggered me. I want to go back to positive scenarios again. So if you have a positive
stories, send them to us,
please, because we need to have a break. I can't. And I want to hear positive stories of relationships and marriage, and positive stories of males being good role models.
Right? Males actually doing right by their wives. Males stepping up, taking the burden off her shoulders, rubbing her feet, please, in our Sodom.
I want to hear Farmer George's stories of people like Farmer George.
Anthony, Simon. Because we're done, honestly. I can't read another book. For my own mental health, for my own sanity. And I apologise that I've made this about myself, but it's ultimately us that have to read these to you guys.
This man I feel sick.
This is very icky. It just reminds me of, you know, that guy that was sexting whilst his wife was in bed.
Oh. It just gives me creepy vibes.
Right, I just want to say to the ladies out there that despite the fact that most of the stories that we read out are majority quite negative. There really are good men out there. Honestly, I believe in my soul that there are good men out there who would never dream of just doing these things. I think that we're just dealing with a very small proportion of just disgusting behaviour, and I feel like obviously people usually tend to like to pick out the, you know, if they feel wronged, they're going to want to send in a scenario and talk about who they were wronged by.
I think one thing that we need to really specify, and I wish I had an older sister to speak to me when before I got married, whatever, and I think we could be those older sisters for you. Take from my advice. If a man is taking advantage of you physically, he's trying to like encourage you or coerce you into having sex or doing
pressure
extra
you.
things. If a man isn't being there with you 24/7, as in he's not being consistent in what he's saying and what he wants to do, if he wants to get married, then let that man go.
If he's not being consistent, if red flags are showing, just like don't ignore the red flags. I genuinely believe that red flags come from Allah. Red flags come from Allah. Allah shows you every day in signs, in everyday life, that things are either going well or they're not. He encourages us to pray. He encourages us to pray istikhara, to seek his counsel. Do those things before you engage in anything that you're feeling shaky about, that makes you feel anxious, that makes you feel negative emotions. Just pray.
And yeah, that is the end of our episode, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. Finally, guys, we just want to say, please do us a favor, and if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, please leave a little message and a review of our podcast. And don't forget, on Spotify, if you click on the 5 stars at the top to review our podcast for us, that would be really amazing. And next week, inshallah, on Instagram, please stay tuned. We're hopefully going to try and see if we can put out more tickets for our live show. And we love you guys so much.
Thank you guys. Bye.